let's do, I have let's say I have a make-believe partner named Samantha, who I'm having activations with. I'll say an activation, right? We have a thing in the kitchen. I get pissed off. I say something. We have an argument. I craft my feelings and needs. It's based around, let's say it's alcoholic tendencies. I've got alcoholism, my father. I'm not comfortable with her drinking. So like I have the fight, right? I come to you to dismantle the situation so I can breathe and I can talk about it. Then how do I work with Samantha?
Well, we have to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
What are your...
No. It needs to be the way for all alcoholic pattern through all relationships. It just needs to be a formula. I want a booklet. I want the workbook.
You want a canned webinar on that, Freddie?
Well, look, it would be very similar for each person.
Yeah,
it's just that what do you say? Content process.
Yeah. So we think about, when I think about relationships with people and the conversations that happen, there's really what the feelings and needs practice really does is it creates a process to move through the messy. So I think of like everything that's going on in life is content, and the process to move through it is the feelings and needs practice. And that makes it really streamlined.
So it gets you quickly to what do you want. So if a non-negotiable, we have to understand for you, do you want, is no alcohol the baseline? And then in relationship, because we have to discern what are you okay with and not okay with. We help you to decide that for yourself based on what you're saying your needs are.
I mean, there's a couple ways that the feelings and needs practice can be developed when we're working, when a client is working with somebody else in their family or in their whatever relationship constellation they're in. You can ask if they'd be willing to listen to what they're hearing you say and to repeat it back to you.
That's a first step, mirroring. So if you can't even have the exchange and a person is not capable of mirroring back to you what they heard you say without more charge and more discord, things probably aren't going to move in a good direction. So that's like a number one.
That's the number
one. Are you
one.
willing to hear me?
Right.
And would you be willing to repeat back to me what you heard me say? And they don't have to get it verbatim. It's the feeling of it. And then if they're off or they've forgotten something, there's a process where we check in and say, so did I basically get it? And then you might say, there's one thing that you missed that's very important to me. And then you repeat it, and then she'll say, oh, okay, so here I'm going to repeat back to you the one thing that I missed. And then we can come to an agreement. Yeah, that feels complete, we say. That feels good. That feels complete. Okay, now what do we want to do with it? Would you be willing to enter into making a new agreement around drinking alcohol? And then you have to decide, like, is it just in your presence?
And you both have to agree. So it's going to be, it actually becomes somewhat of a compromise or a total compromise, because it's both parties have to be in agreement around what it is, that thing that is juicy and fiery, right? The thing that is activating. You both have to come to the table on it, you know?
And if there's not a willingness, that is information for you.
It is definitely.
Right?
You
get to then decide based on that information. And most people, I think, have a fear
of confrontation
and finding out that might be the case. And so they don't approach it because then they actually have to make a decision based on the information that they receive. And they might be attached to the relationship, a bit codependent, and they might be also addicted to the drama because there's a little bit of a charge that happens. They're drinking again, or they did the thing, and then they get to talk about it, and then they get to feel the dopamine and the whole thing.
It could be all self-righteous or whatever.
It could be so many things. So it comes down to, what is it that you really want? What kind of a relationship do you want first with yourself, right? Because it starts with honesty. What are the facts? How do you feel? What do you? That's honesty. And then what are you willing to do about it? Because that's the piece where you become very empowered. It doesn't mean there might not be sadness around the choices too.
Or deep disappointment.
But when we say yes to one thing, there's always something else that we're releasing.
Yeah.
So I think that's
choices.
becoming. That is the process of becoming.
And Cathy and I have a term, WTF. And it's, what's this for? It's transforming the perspective. What's this for? Actually, if you choose to believe, as I do, as we do, that everything in my life is happening in the service of my own awakening, then what's this for?